This is Cammy Davis. My website is cammydavis.com. This tutorial is on how to make concrete flowers. You can see a picture at the end of the tutorial that shows how cute they look in the yard. So let me guide you through the steps on how to make them. First, start with some round containers to make the bulbs with. What I did was I went down to Restore, or I think I also hit some Goodwills, maybe some garage sales, and got a group of similar but different, either light, some of these are light covers and some of these are vases or like little fish bowls maybe, I'm not sure. And so I gathered a bunch of those. I want to do my concrete flowers in a group, which will give my garden a real focal point. If you spread them out like one here, one there, one on the other corner of your garden, it doesn't give it the same impact. You want to use the design principles in your garden, just like you would in anything else, where you create a focal point with interesting things. So I've put these in a just a plastic container. I put a garbage bag on the bottom, actually a couple of them I think, just to kind of prop them up and try to get them to hold still. And I got some rebar, and I went to Home Depot and I got it in different lengths. Most of the ones I got were the shorter ones, the 2 feet ones, and then some were 3 feet and 4 feet. When you're working with concrete in a form, you want something slippery like Crisco or vegetable oil. I use just a vegetable oil spray. I mix my concrete when I'm doing small projects in a 5-gallon bucket, and I use a small shovel. And this is the concrete that I'm using. It is a mortar mix, and what that means is it doesn't have the stones in it. You use it to put like bricks together, as you can see in this picture. Always use gloves and especially a dust mask when you're working with concrete. So this is me spraying the vegetable oil into the forms, and you just spray it on the inside. So just a light spray of it. Before you pour the concrete, you want to set it up so that your rebar will be sticking straight out of the form that you're using. So for some of the taller ones, I have this sawhorse that I use. You can see I can just kind of poke it through the holes. Sometimes I'll end up taping it to boards, or you can see on the shorter one here that I've actually just held it for a little bit until it's set up in the concrete, and then I let it go. But mainly you just want to make sure they're sticking out of the form straight so they look good when they're done. So I leave them to dry for about a week, actually. Let my forms dry. Then I take each of them out and I put it in a couple of garbage bags. I just do a double layer of them just so that the glass, when I'm breaking the glass off of the forms, I don't want it to break through the garbage bags. So I hold around the rebar so that I'm not going to have any splatter into my face. And then I just tap it with a hammer, and you want to tap it pretty gently. You want it to break, but you don't want to, smash it into the concrete so hard that, that you chip some off. I actually chipped a little bit off on this form, but it still looks great, I think. So here they are all of them are with the glass knocked off of them. And then I set them in water for another week, and that is to make sure they're cured really hard. It's the water, the moisture that cures concrete. So after another week of the concrete setting in the water, I take them out, let them dry, and I put them in the ground. Well, actually, you can do it two ways. You can put them in the ground and you can paint them just kind of standing above them. Or you can paint them after they're dry, of course, by just sitting in a chair and kind of putting them in your lap and turning them and being careful you don't get the paint all over yourself, which is kind of how I did it, actually. So the paint that I use when I paint these is I like latex, easy to wash off, but this is one that you can use outside as well. At one of the hardware stores, I just went to that area where they have spray paints and stuff like that and bought the ready mixed paints. If you look at these, they come in these colors: gloss cherry, gloss bumblebee, and then a black color. And I did get the gloss on these that lasts better, so better for outside art. I just got those 3 colors. For mine, I painted, my logo is a sunshine flower. You've probably seen it at the beginning of this video and at the end of this video. It's basically on my business cards. It's on everything that I do. So I decided to paint those on my flowers, and I just mixed the yellow and red together for the orange part. The outlines, as you can see when you look at my initial ones, and then you go to the outlines, it made all the difference. If you haven't painted flowers before, my suggestion is that you Google flowers, clip art, something like that, and you get some really simple designed flowers with pretty straightforward lines. Try those. If you want to go even simpler, you can do anything you want on these. Actually, you could go as detailed as you want. You could go as simple as you want. But a really simple idea would to get like 2, maybe 3 colors of paint at the most, and just kind of drip it down them. Drip it, or do Pollock style and like throw it, from your brush, splatter paint all over them, and just make them really abstract and simple. That would be really cool. Pop a color out of your garden as well. When they are finished, I put a clear coat on them to protect them, and this is a spar varnish, which is what they put on boats that go in the water. So I know this is going to work well on my garden art. And then when they're done, when you're ready to put them in the ground, you can see in this one picture that I'm using a balance, and the reason is there's some things I've noticed I'm really, I don't want to say careless with, but I'm not as detail oriented with. But there's some things where it really makes a difference. So in a way, you want to put these in the ground really haphazard, but you want to make sure that they're balanced so that continuity of all of the rebar being parallel, it really makes a difference. It's such a small thing, but it makes such a difference in the way that they look popping out of the flowers. So I've given you guys a few views of what they look like in my garden. You kind of see I've picked a corner of the garden and made them the focal point. I am probably going to add about 10 more here. I want it to be a pretty large focal point right there. It's on the corner where you enter into our driveway. My dog's kind of posing for you. If you have any questions, please email me at art@cammydavis.com. That's CAMMY Davis.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And send me pictures of your finished pieces in your garden. I'd love to see what they look like. Thanks for watching, and stay creative.